Welcome back to the Edge a Leader Show. I'm your co-host, Jackie Marson, and today we have a very special guest, Jon Christensen, the co-founder of Bidmii. Thank you, Jonathan, for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, so you've previously worked for a number of companies that are well known. So Boston Pizza, Freshii, you're VP of Global Growth for St. Louis Bar and Grill.
Yeah.
So what was ultimately the decision maker for you to kind of shift gears from the restaurant industry, to the prop tech industry?
Yeah, sure. So the short answer is it was a little thing called COVID. The long answer is that I grew up in the restaurant business. My dad was an Eastside Mario's franchisee, multiple locations. My mom was a professor of hospitality at the University of Guelph. So the joke is that I didn't really have a choice but to get into the restaurant industry.
Naturally.
I held every job imaginable, from dishwasher to kitchen manager, front of house as well. But eventually made the switch to the corporate side of that world, working in restaurant development. Built hundreds of restaurants all around the world. But then this little thing called COVID happened. Obviously, restaurants were hit really, really hard. At the time, I remember having conversations around the boardroom table with people asking the question, are restaurants dead? What does the future look like? And the comment that I made at the time, which I think stands true, is that, hey, restaurants are run by some of the hardest working individuals out there. Anyone that would commit to 5 or even 10% margins, that's someone who has to have a lot of hustle. Restaurant operators, the weak ones are probably going to go out of business. The super, super strong ones will be able to figure out a way. But restaurant financing is going to be non-existent for the next 2 to 3 years. And so I needed to figure something else out to do. I think the little bit of background is that while we're building these restaurants all over the place and at a super rapid pace, my wife is reminding me that our basement still isn't finished. And it's the case of the cobbler's kids not having shoes. And some of the stories that she would hear about us building these restaurants were coming up against like the craziest challenges. We can't get this one particular wallpaper shipped into Peru. It's not possible to ship this wallpaper. And so it's like, how do you do this? But in my own backyard, I can't finish my basement. Like, how is this possible?
The irony.
So, COVID hits. I find myself with a bunch of time on my hands. And it's, okay, well, first, let's finish the basement. But going through that process, we got a real hard look at how different those industries are. So, you might think building materials, building the interior of a restaurant, how much different could that be than finishing a basement, similar materials, everything else. But it's the trades that are just significantly different. And it's not that, electrical is different here or there. It's the level of fragmentation, the level of organization, how people actually go about finding these trades and bringing them into the home. And quite honestly, the fraud is rampant in the industry. And I think this is something that like most people are vaguely familiar with. Everybody has either you've got a story about being ripped off by a contractor, or your aunt, your neighbor, your cousin, somebody has
the
that.
One with the aunt.
Okay, there you go. But when we started doing a bit of deep dives and digging into it, what we found is like it's such a big problem. The recent survey that we did, it's over 8% of renovations end with a stolen deposit.
Wow.
And that is an insane figure, right? Like this is a $60 billion a year industry in Canada. And to think that 8% of projects end with a stolen deposit, that's a massive number. And so we said, okay, look, here's a palpable problem that causes so much pain. There's no reason that it needs to happen. You've got Uber can, helping with fares and the digital transfer of money for cabs. You've got Airbnb helping people do this when they rent out their homes. Like, why doesn't this solution exist for home renovations and home improvements? And so we started out simply trying to create something that holds funds in trust during a renovation so that nobody can be running away. And 4 years later, it's grown into an entire ecosystem that's doing so much more than that. But that was sort of the impetus for making the switch.
Yeah,
that is the long version.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Of the answer.
Yeah, and you kind of touched a little bit on the pain points there. So some of the scams that are going on, stolen deposits. But let's talk a bit more about the pain points from the contractor perspective, from the homeowner perspective, and how Bidmii really addresses and alleviates those issues.
Yeah, sure. So like a typical renovation process always starts out the same, right? Where somebody's been online, or maybe they're scrolling through their phone and they become inspired. They see some crazy like renovation pictures where it's the dream washroom or the dream kitchen, or somebody's just got something done. And it typically starts with, okay, well, let's go and find a contractor, right? Now, in the old days, that used to be looking through the yellow pages for folks that are as old as me. Then it's turn into the Google search. Okay, let's search for a contractor. The problem is that online ratings and reviews are now bought and sold like they're just a commodity. If you ever want to check and see how bad this problem is, just do a search for how do I buy reviews on whatever platform. And you'll find a million resources. Like, most people think these folks are like in a dark alley somewhere, like with a trench coat selling fake reviews. But no, it takes about 20 minutes and a credit card, and you can pump up your reviews on whatever platform you want. And so like as a homeowner, when you're going out and you're searching these contractors, the biggest pain point is you don't know who to trust. You don't know what to trust, because so much of the information out there is garbage. And, so you find the contractors that you think look good. You see this portfolio. You're like, I think this is the right person. Well, now you have to find 16 of those contractors, give them all a call. Hopefully they get back to you. Hopefully you're able to book a site visit. If you've called 16, maybe you get 6 to show up to your house, and then you're chasing them and harassing them to give you a quote or an estimate and nail down some timelines. And that's just the beginning, right? That's just the planning stages. And that takes so long. So what we've done is we've reversed that process. So instead of reaching out and trying to find all of these people at the top of your funnel to try and get them into the system, as a homeowner, you go to bidmii.com, you create a project, and that's as simple as giving your project a title. We've built some pretty decent AI that will help you flesh out the details of your project, put a scope of work together. You take your famous before photos, and that creates a project. We send that project to every contractor who serves your geography within that category of work, and let them know about the project. It's then up to them to say, yep, I'm interested, ask you a question, request a site visit. All of that gives you an opportunity to view their profile and their work history, and see if that's someone you want come and checking out your profile, or come and checking out your project. The major difference is that when you're looking at a Bidmii contractor's profile, all of their ratings and reviews are purchase verified. Because we hold the funds in trust, we've put the rating and review process at the project closeout stage, so that you can trust every single one of those ratings and reviews, and every single one comes with the homeowner's comments, but also the before, the during, and the after photos.
It's great.
So you can see, not only did this homeowner have a good experience, but does that homeowner's expectation match my own? And that's a huge part of that expectation setting that really sets us apart. Now, of course, the other part of it is that we're getting you multiple bids from multiple contractors. And when you choose the contractor that you want to work with, We collect the money. We hold the funds in trust. The contractor does the work. And when you're satisfied and you sign off on the project being completed, that's when the money leaves our account and hits the contractors. And it's a better way of doing business. The good contractors love the system because they're confident in their work. They know they're going to get paid. The lousy contractors really question the system and say, why do I want you holding this? Doesn't make sense. And we're like, no problem. This isn't for everybody.
Absolutely. No, it sounds like an amazing marketplace that you created. And especially with, all of the different scams that are going on right now, whether it's a stolen deposit, whatever it may be. So, do you have any stories of some crazy scams that I am sure people come to you and say, this just happened to me, like I need some help here. So
yeah, I mean, the craziest scams are the ones that tend to make the paper or the news. The one that still takes the cake is one that originated in Collingwood, Ontario. This is the most intricate, like the most detailed, the most sophisticated scam I've ever heard of as it relates to renovations. So this is where somebody in a suit appears at your door and says, hey, we just wanted to let you know, because your house was built in this decade, 1980s, 1970s, we want to let you know that you're actually part of a class action lawsuit against the builder who built this home. And it's getting near the end. You could be looking at a decent amount of money. We just wanted to let you know, here's our card. We're going to keep you up to speed as it progresses. And most people are like, this is weird. Like, if this is true, this is awesome. Free money. Like, there's nothing wrong with my house. Like, if this guy's through class action lawsuit, I don't get it, but whatever. Maybe it's true, maybe it's not. And they follow up. They come back 2 weeks later and they say, hey, we just want to let you know, we've reached a settlement. You're actually looking to collect about $100,000 as part of the settlement. And we're going to be back in a few weeks with your check. So congratulations. There is a small stipulation that you're going to have to do a little bit of foundation work, but we've got the company lined up. It's only going to cost you $30,000 to do the foundation work. So all in all, we think this is a net positive. And people are like, wow, okay, like now this feels
a little bit more legit.
Yeah, it feels legit. It feels real. This is wild. And they can even say things like, and just so you know, this isn't a scam. We're going to give you the check. You deposit it. You make sure it clears before you do anything. Okay. And then we'll hook you up with the foundation guys to do the work. And so then this happens. They show up again. They give you the check. They've got the paperwork from the lawsuit for you to sign, fill out, whatever. You deposit the check. That check clears. And that money's in your bank account. And now they bring the foundation repair guys, part of this class action lawsuit. They move some dirt around. They don't do a whole lot. Okay. But as a homeowner, you're like, I don't care. I've got this money, like whatever. If these are the guys, who cares? Write them the check for the 30 grand. They disappear. It's not till a year later where you get a notice saying that you haven't made a payment on your 1-year mortgage, on your 1-year secondary mortgage. And so like that is like, they have scammed lawyers. They have scammed secondary mortgage companies. They have scammed everybody. Wow. And they'll hit a whole neighborhood at a time and then disappear.
This is insane. This is a years long process.
Well, that's like the beauty of the scam is that nobody finds out until a year later. And these guys are gone. Like they're long gone at that point, right? And so, the first reported incident of this particular scam was in Collingwood. Then we heard about it happening in Burlington and Oakville. So like there's moving around, but as far as we know, these guys haven't been caught yet.
Well, thank you so much for joining us today for this interview. And if you want to tell our viewers and our readers where they can find you and how they can sign up for Bidmii if they're interested.
Yeah, sure. The best thing to do is to go to bidmii.com, bidmii.com. And post your project. Like I said, it takes less than 5 minutes, and I think you're going to be pleasantly surprised with how easy it is and the wonderful results.
Thank you for watching the Edge a Leader show. If you know someone who's an entrepreneur or would make a great fit for an interview, reach out to us.